With more and more people facing cognitive issues later in life, there's a situation where you might have a family member, a parent that faces some of this. And how do you go about changing their will? How can they make adjustments? What do you need to know about that process if you have a family member in decline? We'll talk about that next with Nick. Welcome into Complete Estate Planning. Glad to have you on the show. I'm Ben George with Nick Rosenbauer of the Rosenbauer Law Office right outside Cincinnati, serving Ohio. Find them online, cincinnatiestateplan.com. Also, drop a question there, which is where we're featuring today's question. And it's one that I'm sure is more and more common for you, Nick, but I'll ask it first and we'll get into it. My dad is getting older. He has dementia, but it is still in its early stages. He hasn't updated his will in years and things need to be changed. Is he still allowed to make changes or are we too late?
No, I get this one a lot. And usually, Ben, it is one of the family members who is calling and notices that there's a problem as far as like the estate plan not being up to date. Or I've seen times where people say, hey, turned out I'm trying to help mom, I'm trying to help dad. Turned out they never did this at all. So the way it works is you have to have what is known as testamentary capacity. And there's different levels of mental capacity for different documents. I'm not going to get into too much of the medical and like neurological analysis here. But as far as testamentary capacity, the short version is you have to have the mental capacity to understand what's going on, understand what you're doing, understand the consequences of what you're doing, which it would mean knowing what making a will, making a trust, knowing what that does, knowing that that's taking your assets and putting them under, giving them to others, knowing who your family is. So obviously that's not a very high bar, Ben. It's not as if you have to pass a law school exam, and have an IQ on the level of Albert Einstein. So the way I would say it to answer this question is, frankly, it depends on how rough of shape the family member is in. If they still know what's going on, they know roughly what they own, they know who the family members are, and they understand that, making a will, making a trust, they understand that they're picking an inheritance for someone, they're picking someone to be in charge, then it is not too late. Okay. You need to get this done right away before something bad happens and it becomes too late, because the minute, they go into the office, and the attorney asks them, how many kids do you have? And they say, I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to make fun of the situation. Yeah. That's a big problem. And they say, hey, who do you want to leave your house to? I don't own a house. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay. So we actually, because I'm not a medical doctor, Ben, we actually have a series of questions, kind of screener and kind of protective questions that we ask all of our clients throughout the process. Now, a lot of times they're almost disguised as jokes, because you'll have normal people who have no issues. But we always ask people, how many kids do you have? Have you had any more kids since we last met? Do you still like the ones you have? Do you still own your home? We go over the inheritance. We go over the plan. We go over the choices that we picked out. Are you still married? A lot of people chuckle, but there's really important reasons for that. So, we can have it in our solid process that we always ask these questions. And if there's ever a situation where we don't get a confident, correct answer to it, then that's when we have to be careful. I would talk to a specialist who's done this before, let them know what's going on. So the attorney, that's a good thing. Okay, Ben, you may think people want to say, well, let me hide the problems because I don't want there to be problems. I just want us to get by here. But that's actually the wrong answer. The right answer here, Ben, is to let the attorney know what's going on. Go right away before it's too late. Let them know what's going on so the attorney is aware of it, so the attorney can take all the necessary steps and keep notes and ask questions and be careful to make sure that whatever plan is being done or being updated is rock solid. Okay, so this sounds bad, but you almost want to prepare evidence ahead of time if anyone were to come back later and say, hey, there's no way Dad could have made a will in 2025. He was already out of his mind. I like to know so that way I can take all the steps to make sure that this is rock solid and it will be valid. And if it's a situation where they say, I'm not comfortable with this, then I tell them, get a medical doctor to, give an opinion or an evaluation. I'm not a medical doctor, so we have ways of getting things done and getting things evaluated. But contrary to what you might think, definitely let the attorney know exactly what's going on. Get this done as soon as possible so that the attorney can make sure all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, everything is done on the up and up. And that way, whatever is done is airtight. And it's not something that was done sloppily, was done haphazardly, or could potentially be deemed, void or have to get thrown out.
And it's also a good reminder, too, that you need to be constantly checking up on your estate plan, too, right? So that you don't get to a situation like this where it's like, okay, this has to happen now. Okay, the things have been updated as we go. There might not be a whole lot to change, but we'll review it just in case. That's the purpose of those checkups, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's one of those things where if this person may have done an update 5 years ago before any sort of cognitive decline, any changes that may need to have been made could have been caught at that point. So now it sounds like from what I'm hearing is they're probably under a time crunch. They're probably under the gun here. So get it done as fast as possible. But if you were doing a checkup, my guess is if you did a checkup a few years ago, then it may have been a situation where the changes, whatever changes they are, could have been made without being under pressure and without being in a situation where Dad is slipping and we're under the gun. So yeah, you're absolutely right. But all hope is not lost. Just go as fast as you can and let the attorney know what's going on, so the attorney can guide you through how to make sure that everything that's done is done properly.
All right. Great question. And I think a situation where more and more people are finding themselves in with family members.
Yeah.
So again, take care of this. If you have any questions for Nick, you can reach him directly at CincinnatiEstatePlan.com. You can schedule a call there as well. All that contact info in the show description. But again, leave a comment if you have a question for Nick or a thought as well. We'd appreciate that support. And please subscribe to the channel as well. New video coming soon. We'll talk to you then, Nick.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by estate planning? The process can seem complex, but it doesn't have to be. The Rosenbauer Law Office is dedicated to helping you protect what matters most: your family, your assets, and your peace of mind. Nick and the team will guide you through every step of the process, making sure you feel confident and informed along the way. Take the first step toward peace of mind today. Schedule an introductory call by clicking the link in the description of today's show.
This show is for informational purposes only and does not provide any legal advice. Information on this show may not constitute the most up-to-date legal information. Please do not act or refrain from acting based solely on anything you hear on this show. This show does not form any attorney-client relationship with the Rosenbauer Law Office, LLC. Please seek the counsel of a qualified attorney before addressing your own estate planning needs.